My name is Virginia Reeves. I'm 32 years old. The Sunday after I married Daniel, a black carpenter my family called unworthy. My father, pastor of a 3,200-member megachurch, stood on the pulpit and publicly declared to thousands, "I no longer have a daughter. She is dead to this family." That same week, my mother sent a telegram straight to my wedding reception. "You are dead to us." From that day, I became a stranger in my own bloodline. For 10 straight years, every Christmas gift I sent came back unopened. Every January, the same vicious text from my mother: "We don't accept gifts from strangers." On the 11th year, I sent one final package. They opened it. My father called me 20 times in 10 minutes, sobbing so hard he could barely breathe. My mother was screaming in the background. They had spent over a decade treating their own daughter like trash, but what they discovered inside that box would completely destroy the lie they'd built their family on, and force them to face who the real stranger had been all along. Before I tell you exactly what was inside that package, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Where are you watching from right now, and what time is it? I'd love to know. I met Daniel in 2011 at the Oakland Community Workshop. I was 17. He was 25. I was there volunteering as a teaching assistant for a free woodworking class for teens. He was the instructor. The workshop smelled like fresh-cut wood and sawdust. Daniel was sanding a piece of oak when I walked in. His hands were covered in fine white powder. He looked up. "You're Benjamin Warner's daughter, right?" "Yeah." "How'd you know?" "Your dad's church sponsors this program." He smiled. "I dropped out of college to do this full-time. Been at it 6 years now. Your dad probably wouldn't approve." "Why not?" "No degree. Just sawdust and calluses." He held up his hands. "Not exactly megachurch son-in-law material." I laughed. I didn't know then that those 6 years of sawdust, and the 11 more to come, would kill him. Or that he'd spent his last years saving the man who'd call him unworthy. My father, Pastor Benjamin Warner, led Grace Community Church in Nashville, Tennessee. 3,200 members. Sunday services broadcast on local TV. He preached love and family values every week. Standing ovations, amens echoing through the sanctuary. But when I told him about Daniel 8 months later, he walked out of the room. My mother's face went white. We were in my father's study. Mahogany desk. Leather Bible. A family portrait on the wall. Me at 12. Smiling. Both my parents' hands on my shoulders. That version of our family felt like a lifetime ago. "He's not one of us, Virginia." "One of us? What does that even mean?" My father's voice dropped. "You know exactly what it means. This family has a reputation. A legacy. I will not have you destroy it for some—" "Say it," I interrupted. "Say what you really mean." He didn't. But his silence said everything. 2 days later, I packed my things. I turned 18 in January 2012. By March, Daniel had proposed. By June, we were married. The wedding was small. Oakland Courthouse, then a backyard reception at Daniel's parents' house. 28 people attended, all from Daniel's side, not a single person from mine. I wore a borrowed white dress from Daniel's sister. His mother made the cake. String lights hung across the backyard. It was beautiful in a way my father's church could never be. It was real. Daniel's vows made me cry. "Virginia, I can't promise your family will come around. I can't promise this will be easy. But I promise I will show up for you every single day. I promise I'll love you louder than anyone rejected you. And I promise our family, the one we build, will never make anyone feel like a stranger." The telegram arrived at 4:18 p.m., right as we were cutting the cake. Yellow Western Union paper. 9 words. "You are dead to us. Do not contact again." Daniel took it from my shaking hands. He read it once. Then he folded it carefully and put it in his jacket pocket. "You okay?" I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. "Then let's dance. This is our wedding. They don't get to ruin it." I danced with my husband while my parents buried their daughter. And somewhere in Nashville, my mother was probably already rewriting the family story, the version where I didn't exist. Christmas 2012, 6 months after the wedding. I wrapped a photo album. Pictures from our ceremony. Daniel and me cutting the cake, his parents hugging us. A handwritten letter tucked inside explaining how much I loved them, how much I missed them, how I hoped they could meet Daniel and see what I saw. Cost $45 to ship to Nashville. I tracked the package online. Delivered January 3rd. Signed by Helen Warner, my mother. 5 days later, it came back. Unopened. Same brown box. Same tape. Same my handwriting in blue Sharpie. Return to sender stamped in red ink across the top. My mother's text arrived at 11:52 a.m. "We don't accept gifts from strangers." I showed Daniel. "Maybe it's time to stop trying." 1 more year, just one more. 1 more year became 2, then 3, then 5. Christmas 2013. I hand-knitted a blanket. Learned to knit specifically for this. $62 to ship. Returned February 2nd, 2014. Christmas 2014. Sophie had been born in April. I sent a birth announcement with her photo. My parents' first granddaughter. $38 to ship. Returned January 19th, 2015. Same text. Same words. "We don't accept gifts from strangers." Christmas 2015. I made a family cookbook. My recipes. Daniel's mother's recipes. Things I wanted to pass down. $51 to ship. Returned January 23rd, 2016. Christmas 2016. A framed photo of Sophie at age 2. $44 to ship. Returned January 16th, 2017. By year 4, Tyler started calling me. My younger brother. He was in college by then, 20 years old. I saw the package. I tried to get Mom to open it. What did she say? Long silence. She said, "You made your choice. This is the consequence." "Tyler, it's a picture of your niece." "I know." His voice broke. "I'm sorry." The post office clerk in Oakland started recognizing me. Her name was Denise. Older woman. Kind eyes. After year 3, she stopped charging me for tracking. "Honey, I admire your persistence, but maybe it's time to let go." I didn't listen. September 2017. Noah was born. Another grandchild they'd never meet. I sent his birth announcement anyway. $40. Returned January 14th, 2018. Daniel never told me to stop, but I caught him watching me sometimes in November when I'd start wrapping that year's gift. His face carried something I couldn't name then. Sadness, worry, love, mixed with helplessness. November 2019. He finally asked, "Why do you keep doing this to yourself?" I was addressing that year's box. A professional family photo. The 4 of us. Daniel, me, Sophie, Noah. Because someone has to remember I'm still their daughter. He was quiet for a long time. Then, "You're not doing this for them, Virginia. You're doing it for you. And that's okay. But when you're ready to stop punishing yourself, I'll be here." I didn't know then that Daniel was already carrying a weight I couldn't see. That while I was sending gifts to people who'd rejected me, he was secretly saving people who'd rejected both of us. 10 packages, 10 years, 10 identical returns, 10 text messages with the same 6 words. I kept them all in my closet, a tower of brown boxes, evidence of persistence, or evidence of stupidity. I'm still not sure which. Our children asked questions. Sophie was 4 when she first noticed. Other kids at preschool had 4 grandparents. She had 2. Grandma Janet and Grandpa Michael, Daniel's parents. They were present. Sunday dinners in Sacramento, soccer games, sleepovers. They loved our children fiercely. But Sophie was smart. She saw the gap. Why don't I have a grandma and grandpa on your side? You do, sweetie. They just live far away. Can we visit them? Daniel intervened. Some people need more time to learn how to love, Sophie. Your mom's parents are still learning. Sophie thought about this. Are they slow learners? Daniel smiled. Sad. Yeah, baby. Real slow. I didn't tell her the truth, that her grandparents knew she existed and chose not to know her. How do you explain that to a 4-year-old? How do you explain that to yourself? When Noah was born in 2017, I didn't even consider calling my parents. I sent the announcement out of routine, not hope. Daniel asked, You don't have to send it. I know. So why are you? Because one day, when they ask why I stopped trying, I want to say I never did. They did. That package returned in January 2018, the same day my father's accident happened. I didn't know about the accident for 3 days. Tyler was afraid to call me. My own brother was afraid to tell me our father almost died. November 6, 2018, 11:43 p.m. My phone rang. Tyler. We hadn't spoken in 2 years. Virginia, it's Dad. There was an accident. It's bad. I sat up in bed. Daniel reached for my hand. How bad? He might not make it. They're doing surgery now. Silence. The kind that fills a room. The kind that asks questions you don't want to answer. Are Mom and Dad asking for me? Long pause. Hospital sounds in the background. A PA system. Footsteps. No, but I thought you should know. You're still his daughter, even if they won't admit it. I hung up. Daniel asked if I wanted to go to Nashville. I said no. He said okay. Neither of us went back to sleep that night. We just held each other in the dark, and I tried not to imagine my father dying while hating me. Tyler sent updates by text over the next 3 days. November 7th, 8:15 a.m. Out of surgery, critical but stable. November 7th, 2:33 p.m. They're saying 6 to 8 months recovery, maybe longer. November 8th, 10:02 a.m. Mom's asking if you've called. I didn't tell her I told you. November 8th, 7:18 p.m. Insurance denied most of the claim. They're looking at $320,000 out of pocket. I stared at that last text for a long time. $320,000. My parents, who'd lived their entire adult lives comfortable and secure, were about to lose everything. And I felt nothing. Daniel noticed. He didn't say anything. But I know he noticed. A week after the accident, Daniel came home late. He said he'd been pricing a construction job, weekend work, extra income. The carpentry business is doing fine, I said. We don't need... I want to save for Sophie and Noah's college. Get ahead of it. He kissed my forehead, played with the kids, made dinner, everything normal. What I didn't know, Daniel had gone to the bank. What I didn't know, our house, the one we'd bought in 2015, was in his name only. He'd insisted on it back then. If anything happens to me, he'd said, if I get hurt on a job site, if someone sues, if I rack up medical debt, I don't want creditors coming after you and the kids. I'd thought it was sweet, protective. I didn't know it was the loophole he'd used to save my father's life. November 13th, 2018. Daniel took out a home equity loan. $320,000. 15-year term. Payment. $2,400 a month. He set up an anonymous donation through the Nashville Christian Community Fund, the same fund his carpentry workshop used to receive donations from my father's church. Ironic. The money came full circle. He wired the entire amount to Vanderbilt University Medical Center, paid my father's medical bill. All of it. Anonymously. November 18th, Tyler texted me. Something weird happened. Anonymous donor paid Dad's entire hospital bill. Nobody knows who. Mom thinks it's a miracle. I showed Daniel the text. That's amazing. Yeah. Someone must really love him. Daniel kissed my forehead. Someone must. I never suspected. Why would I? We were barely making ends meet ourselves. I had no reason to think my husband had just taken on a secret debt that would strain us for the next decade. No reason to know he'd chosen to save the man who'd destroyed me. Daniel came home that night and held me. He didn't tell me what he'd done. He wouldn't tell me for 4 years. And by then, it would be too late to thank him. 2 months earlier, September 2018, Tyler had called me panicking. Virginia, I don't know what to do. Dad says I should take a year off from Belmont, work, then go back. But if I leave now, I'll lose my scholarship. It's $38,000 a year. I can't come up with that. I looked at Daniel. He was already nodding. Let me see what I can do. I hung up. Told Daniel we couldn't afford to help Tyler. He agreed. We had 2 kids, a mortgage, barely any savings. It was impossible. But Daniel had never been good at accepting impossible. October 22nd, 2018. Tyler called again, excited this time. I got a scholarship, full tuition, 3 years, $38,000 a year. Anonymous donor through the same fund that paid for Dad's surgery. It's a miracle. Tyler, that's incredible. I know. Mom says God is blessing the family. I felt a pang. Was I part of the family when God was blessing them? But I kept quiet. I'm really happy for you. I didn't connect the dots. Same fund, same timing, same anonymity. I was too busy being grateful Tyler wouldn't lose his future. Too busy not realizing my husband was sacrificing hours. Daniel started working 6 days a week. Monday through Friday at his carpentry business. Saturdays and Sundays on a construction crew. $28 an hour. Brutal work. He came home exhausted, covered in dust, hands raw. By 2019, I was begging him to slow down. Daniel, you're working yourself to death. We don't need the extra money that badly. I want Sophie and Noah to have what Tyler has, a chance at college without debt. We can take out loans when the time comes. No. His voice was firm, final. I don't want them starting life in a hole. I want them to have choices. I didn't argue. I thought he was being noble. I didn't know he was already $320,000 in debt. I didn't know he was paying another $3,200 a month for my brother's education. Every month for 4 years, $2,400 for my father's life, $3,200 for Tyler's future. $5,600 total going to my family while we lived on scraps. Daniel worked 2 jobs. I took on freelance editing work from home, $600 to $800 a month. Enough to help but not enough to see the full picture. The gifts still came back. Every year. Christmas 2018. Returned. Christmas 2019. Returned. Christmas 2020. COVID year. I sent a care package, hand sanitizer, masks, homemade cookies. The irony wasn't lost on me. Returned February 3rd, 2021. December 2019, I was wrapping that year's gift when Daniel spoke. I'm glad Tyler's doing well. Me too. Sometimes I wish you'd count yourself as family too. You deserve to be the priority. I thought he was being sweet, philosophical. I didn't realize he was telling me the truth, that while I was celebrating Tyler's success, Daniel was paying for it. Literally. In 2020, I suggested he quit the weekend job. He said soon. In 2021, I begged him to slow down. He said after Tyler graduates. Tyler graduated in May 2022. 0 debt. He thanked God and anonymous donors in his speech. My parents were in the audience, proud. Daniel watched the live stream from our couch, skeletal from chemo, and smiled. He made it. That's all that matters. 3 months later, Tyler still didn't know who paid. 6 months later, Daniel was gone. February 2021. Daniel's cough wouldn't stop. "It's just construction dust," he said. "It'll get better." It didn't. March 15th, he coughed up blood. "Hospital. Now." "Virginia, I can't afford to miss work." I grabbed his hand. "I can't afford to lose you." They admitted him immediately. When a doctor admits someone immediately, it's never nothing. The CT scan showed a mass in his left lung, spots on his lymph nodes. Biopsy scheduled for March 18th. I sat in the waiting room with Sophie and Noah, 7 and 4. Too young to understand why Daddy was in a hospital gown. Too young to understand that everything was about to change. The doctor called us into his office, UCSF Medical Center, Oncology Wing. The walls were beige. Everything about that room was designed to soften bad news. It didn't work. "Mr. and Mrs. Reeves, I'm sorry to say the biopsy confirmed cancer. Stage 4, lung adenocarcinoma. But he doesn't smoke. 20% of lung cancers occur in non-smokers. Mr. Reeves, your work history shows 16 years of construction exposure. Silica dust, wood dust, diesel exhaust. That's significant occupational risk." Daniel's voice was hollow. 16 years. Started when I was 19. "How long?" I asked. "With treatment, 12 to 18 months. Without treatment, 6 months." Silence. "We'll do the treatment." Daniel squeezed my hand. He didn't say what I could see in his eyes. 18 months isn't enough. We walked out of that office into California sunshine. The world looked exactly the same, but ours had just ended. 16 years. He'd been breathing poison since before I met him, and I'd never known. We told the children that night. Sophie asked if Daddy was going to die. Noah didn't understand. Daniel insisted on being honest. "I'm very sick, and I might not get better, but I'm going to fight as hard as I can." Sophie cried. "But you're strong, Daddy. You can beat it." Daniel pulled her close. "I'm going to try, baby girl. Every day I'm going to try." Noah looked confused. "Will you still play with me?" "As long as I can, buddy, as long as I can." Later, Sophie asked me if Daddy was going to die like Grammy's cat. I couldn't answer. Daniel did. "Maybe, Sophie. But not today. Today I'm here." That night, after the kids fell asleep, Daniel and I lay in bed not touching. "I'm scared." "Me too." We cried. We didn't stop for hours. Treatment started in April. Chemo. Brutal. Daniel lost his hair. Lost weight. 185 pounds down to 156 by November. 12 different medications. I quit freelancing to be his full-time caregiver. Tyler called sometimes to check in. He didn't tell our parents Daniel was sick. I didn't ask him to. "How's Daniel doing?" "Tired, weak, but fighting." "Do Mom and Dad know?" "No. And don't tell them." "Virginia, Tyler. They chose not to know us. They don't get updates now." Silence. Then. "I'm praying for him. For all of you." "Thanks. But save your prayers. Your God hasn't been listening to me for 9 years." By November 2021, Daniel could barely walk without resting. But when I suggested he stop working entirely, he refused. "I have obligations." I thought he meant our mortgage. I had no idea he meant theirs. December 2021. Christmas gift number 10. Daniel insisted we send it despite everything. "Daniel, you're in no condition to go to the post office." "Then drive me." "Why does this matter so much?" He looked at me, thin, bald, exhausted. "Because this is the last one, Virginia. And they need to know something before it's too late." "Know what?" "That you never stopped being their daughter." even when they stop being parents. I drove him to the post office on Telegraph Avenue, the same one I'd been going to for 9 years. Denise was working. She looked at Daniel, then at me. She stamped the package quietly. What I didn't know, Daniel had written my parents a 3-page letter. Put it inside that package. A confession, an explanation, a goodbye. I wouldn't know until the following Christmas when I sent them the copy. Gift number 10 returned January 20th, 2022. I put it with the others. 10 years, 10 boxes, 10 rejections. January through March 2022. The cancer spread. Doctors suggested hospice. Daniel refused at first, wanted to keep fighting. By March, the pain was too severe to deny. March 2nd. The oncologist's voice was gentle, professional, final. Daniel, the cancer has spread to your bones, liver, and brain. Additional chemotherapy would only cause suffering without meaningful extension of life. I recommend transitioning to comfort care. How long? Months, maybe weeks. Daniel looked at me. What do you think? I was crying. I think I want you here as long as possible, but I don't want you in pain. Then comfort care. I want to spend my last days with my family, not in a hospital. We left that appointment knowing we were planning a death. Not if, when. And every moment after that was both precious and unbearable. April through June, Daniel wrote letters. One for Sophie to read when she turned 18. One for Noah. One for me. One for Tyler. And one for my parents. I found him writing in bed one afternoon in May. What are you working on? Letters. For after. I sat on the bed. Can I read them? Not yet. When I'm gone. Daniel. Virginia, please. Let me do this. Let me leave something behind that matters. I kissed his forehead. You're leaving Sophie and Noah. That's what matters. He smiled. Sad. I want to leave more than memories. I want to leave instructions, so they know how to be loved. I kept my promise. I didn't read any of them until a week after he died. When I finally did, I understood. Daniel hadn't been writing letters. He'd been building the package, the one that would make my parents finally open their eyes. July through September, Daniel gathered documents, with my help. I thought it was for our own records, insurance, estate planning, mortgage papers, payment receipts, Tyler's scholarship fund records, Dad's hospital billing showing anonymous donor, 4 years of tuition payments, bank statements. August, I asked him, why do we need all this paperwork? I want everything organized, for you, so you're not hunting for documents after I'm gone. This is a lot more than insurance papers, Daniel. The house deed, the home equity loan, Tyler's tuition receipts. I know, but trust me, you'll need them. I looked at the papers spread across our dining table. $320,000. I read the loan document aloud. Daniel, when did you? 2018, November. Right after your dad's accident. My blood went cold. You mortgaged our house without telling me? It was in my name only, remember? I didn't need your signature. That's not… Daniel, why? He met my eyes. Dying. Bald. Skeletal. Because he's your father. And you would have stopped me. He told me everything that day. The house in his name. The loan. Tyler's scholarship. 4 years of payments. $472,000 total. For my family. While they called him unworthy. I cried for 3 hours. Daniel held me. Don't be mad at me for this. Be proud. I saved your father's life. And I'd do it again. He labeled a folder in September. Important. Open December 2022. Written in shaky handwriting. Pain medication made his hands unsteady. Give this to your parents for Christmas. I thought he was delirious. Daniel, they won't open anything from me. He smiled. They will this time. I didn't understand. Not until it was too late to ask him. October. We had hard conversations. About forgiveness, about peace, about what comes after. I admitted I wasn't sure I'd ever forgive my parents. Daniel said he already had. How can you forgive them? They treated you like you were nothing. We were on the back patio. October sunset. Daniel in his wheelchair. Oxygen tank beside him. Because holding on to that anger would poison me, and I don't have time to be poisoned, Virginia. I barely have time to love you. But they don't deserve forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about what they deserve. It's about what I deserve. I deserve peace. I cried. I don't know if I can do that. You don't have to. Not now. Maybe not ever. But when I'm gone, promise me you'll try. Not for them. For you. 2 weeks later, I asked him about the package again. What's really in it, Daniel? He was too weak to sit up. The truth. And sometimes the truth is kinder than forgiveness. Because the truth makes people forgive themselves. And that's what your parents need most. November. The final days. Hospice bed in our living room. Daniel could no longer climb stairs. Sophie and Noah said their goodbyes. I prepared them as best I could. Daniel's parents visited daily. Tyler flew in from Nashville on November 8th. Didn't tell our parents. November 10th. Daniel's last coherent day. Sophie held his hand. Daddy, can you hear me? Always, baby girl. I love you. Love you too. Be strong. Noah was scared. Daddy's sleeping a lot. He's very tired, Noah. But he knows you're here. Daniel surprised us. Not sleeping. Listening. To my favorite people. November 11th, 11:48 p.m. His last words. Virginia. I leaned close. I'm here. Tell them. I forgive them. Tell who? Your parents. Tell them family isn't blood, it's showing up. Daniel, rest. Don't worry about them. Not worrying, just want you free. He stopped breathing at 3:22 a.m., November 12th, 2022. I was holding his hand. Sophie and Noah were asleep upstairs. It was just us, like it had been in the beginning. My phone buzzed at 3:25 a.m. Tyler texting, "How is he?" 3 minutes too late. 3 weeks later, I opened the folder Daniel left. December 1st, 2022. 2 a.m. couldn't sleep. The house felt empty. Wrong. Like a body missing its heart. Inside, instructions, documents, and his letter. Dear Pastor Warner and Mrs. Warner, you don't know me, but I've known you for 10 years. Not personally, but through the woman you rejected. Your daughter. My wife. I'm writing this in September 2022. I'm dying. Lung cancer, stage 4. By the time you read this, I'll likely be gone. I need you to know what I did. Not for gratitude, not for apology, but because Virginia deserves to know that someone loved her family, even when they didn't love her. November 2018. I learned about your accident, Pastor Warner. Your medical bills. $320,000 that insurance wouldn't cover. Your family was facing financial ruin. I took out a home equity loan on our house, the house I'd put in my name only years earlier to protect Virginia from my business risks. I mortgaged our future to save your present, $320,000, paid anonymously through the Nashville Christian Community Fund. You thanked God. You should have thanked the carpenter. September 2018. Tyler called Virginia, terrified he'd have to drop out of Belmont. $38,000 a year tuition. I set up an anonymous scholarship. $38,000 a year for 4 years. $152,000 total. Tyler graduated debt-free in May 2022, praising God's provision. I watched the live stream from our couch, dying from 16 years of construction dust, and I was glad he made it. For 4 years, I worked 2 jobs, Monday through Sunday. Every month, I paid $5,600 to keep your family afloat, $2,400 for your medical debt, $3,200 for Tyler's education. We lived on what was left. My wife thought I was saving for our children's college. I was paying for her brother's. Total, $472,000 over 4 years. Every December during those 4 years, Virginia sent you gifts. Every January, you sent them back. You called her a stranger. You accepted my money and rejected her love. And neither of you knew they came from the same source. I don't tell you this to shame you. I tell you because Virginia sent you gifts for 10 years, and you returned them all. But these gifts, your recovery, Tyler's education, you kept them. You just didn't know they came from the man you called unworthy. I forgive you. I hope one day Virginia can too. But more than that, I hope you can forgive yourselves. Because the hardest person to forgive is usually the one in the mirror. Daniel Reeves' husband, father, carpenter, the stranger who saved your family. I read it 3 times. Cried through all 3, then I started packing the box. Mortgage documents, highlighted, $320,000. Tuition receipts, organized chronologically, 38,000 times 4. Hospital billing statement, anonymous donor payment, 8x10 family photo from June 2022. The 4 of us. Daniel visibly ill but smiling. Sophie and Noah on either side of us. And my own note, written on one index card. Every gift I sent you returned. But these you kept. His name was Daniel Reeves. He was my husband. He saved your lives for $472,000. He died November 12th, 2022. And you'll never get to thank him. Virginia, December 20th, 2022. I drove to the post office with Sophie and Noah. Sophie asked why I was crying. I'm sending something important to people who need to see it. Is this for the faraway grandparents? Yes, baby. Will they send it back again? I sealed the box. Not this time. Noah looked up at me. How do you know? Because this time it's not a gift. It's the truth. And the truth doesn't go away just because you don't want to see it. Denise was working. She looked at the address. Nashville. Again. She didn't say what she usually said. She just stamped it. Quietly. Handed me the receipt. $68.50. I paid extra for overnight shipping. For once. I hope they finally get it. Me too. But I meant something different than she did. Tracking showed delivery December 23rd, 2:14 p.m. Central Standard Time. Signed by Helen M. Warner, my mother. I stared at the screen. She signed for it. For 2 days, nothing. December 24th. Silence. December 25th. I woke at 6 a.m. and checked my phone. No calls, no texts. We opened presents. Sophie and Noah. Just the 3 of us. Daniel's absence was everywhere. His chair at the table, his coffee mug in the cabinet. The way Noah kept looking toward the door like Daddy might walk in. 9:31 a.m. My phone rang. Dad. I didn't answer. 9:33 a.m. Mom. I didn't answer. 9:35 a.m. Dad. 9:36 a.m. Mom. 9:37 a.m. Dad. 9:38 a.m. Mom. Back and forth. 20 calls in 10 minutes. I sat on my bedroom floor, the same floor where Daniel died 6 weeks earlier, and I listened to each one ring. Sophie stood in the doorway. Mommy, why aren't you answering? Because some people need to understand what it feels like when no one picks up. Noah frowned. That's mean. I looked at him. Yeah, baby. Sometimes being kind means being mean first. They'll understand later. The calls stopped at 9:41 a.m. My phone went silent. I sat there for 20 minutes, staring at it. Then Tyler called. 10:05 a.m. I answered. Virginia. His voice was frantic. What is this? What does it look like? Dad's medical bills, my tuition receipts, Daniel's letter. Virginia, did he really? Yes. Long silence. Tyler crying. I didn't know. All those years I thought the scholarship was from church donors. I didn't know it was him. I didn't know he paid for Dad's surgery. Virginia, why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't know either, Tyler. Daniel never told me. I found out 3 weeks ago, from the papers he left. He's gone? November 12th. Lung cancer. Tyler's voice broke. And we never even met him. Mom and Dad never. No, they never did. And now they never will. What do I tell them? They keep asking me what to do. Dad's having a breakdown. Mom won't stop crying. I looked at Sophie and Noah, eating Christmas pancakes. Oblivious. Tell them to sit with it. They're good at making people wait. They can wait too. That's harsh, Virginia. Yeah, truth usually is. That evening I listened to all 20 voicemails. Voicemail 1. Dad. 9:31 a.m. Virginia, it's your father. Please call me back. We opened the package. We need to talk to you. Please. Voicemail 5. Mom. 9:35 a.m. Virginia, I'm begging you, pick up the phone. We didn't know. Oh God, we didn't know. Please, honey, please. Voicemail 11. Dad. 9:38 a.m. sobbing, barely coherent. He saved my life. Your husband saved my life and I called him. Oh God, what have I done? Virginia, please, I need to tell you. Voicemail 16. Mom. 9:40 a.m. He paid for Tyler. He paid for everything. While we were sending you away, he was. Virginia, he's gone. The letter says he's gone. Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't we? Voicemail 20. Dad. 9:41 a.m. I love you. I'm so sorry. I love you. Please, I'm your father. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Call me. Please call me. I cried through all of them. I texted Tyler at 11:38 p.m. Tell them I need time. They gave themselves 10 years. I'm giving myself 3 days. Tyler. They're desperate to talk to you. Me. I was desperate for 10 years. 3 days won't kill them. Tyler. That's harsh, Virginia. Me. Yeah. Truth usually is. I didn't call them on December 28th. I called on December 29th. Because even in my grief, even in my rage, I wanted them to know. I was in control now. Not them. 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I called my father. He answered on the first ring. Virginia, thank God. We've been. Don't thank God. Thank Daniel. He's the one who saved you. Silence. I know. I read his letter. Virginia, I'm so. Sorry? You're sorry? You called my husband unworthy. You sent back gifts from your grandchildren for 10 years. And while you were doing that, Daniel was making sure Tyler could go to college. Making sure you could walk again. My mother's voice. Speakerphone. We didn't know, sweetheart. We didn't know it was him. You didn't ask. You didn't care. You accepted anonymous help while calling the person who gave it a stranger. My father again. What can we do? How can we? You can't. Daniel's dead. You'll never thank him. You'll never apologize to him. You'll live with that. The conversation lasted 18 minutes. My father broke down repeatedly. My mother could barely speak. I stayed ice cold, factual, boundaried. Before I hung up, my father asked one question. Can we meet you? Can we meet Sophie and Noah? Maybe, when I'm ready. You waited 10 years to open a package. You can wait for my answer. If you're listening to this and you've ever been treated like a stranger by the people who should have loved you most, I need you to know something. You're not alone, and your worth isn't determined by their blindness. December 26th through 31st, the truth spread. Tyler told extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins. By December 31st, everyone knew. My phone filled with messages. Aunt Patricia, Virginia, Tyler told us what Daniel did. I'm ashamed. We should have stood up for you. I'm so sorry. Cousin Jennifer, I always wondered why your parents were so cold to you. Now I know it was them, not you. I'm sorry I believed their version. Uncle Ron, your husband was a better man than all of us. I wish I'd known him. 15 family members in 5 days, all saying the same thing. They were sorry. They'd believed the wrong story. December 31st, the church got involved. Tyler called January 3rd. The deacons met with Dad yesterday, and they asked him to make a public apology to the congregation about you, about Daniel. What did he say? He agreed. He's doing it this Sunday, January 8th. Silence. Tyler, I don't want a performance. I don't need him to apologize to a crowd. It's not for the crowd, Virginia, it's for him. He needs to own what he did. Publicly. The way he rejected you publicly. I didn't attend that service, but Tyler live-streamed it for me. January 8th, 2023. My father stood at the pulpit of Grace Community Church. 3,200 people watching. Smaller than I'd ever seen him. I owe my congregation an apology, and I owe my daughter more than that. He told them everything. The marriage he condemned. The gifts he returned. The grandson and granddaughter he'd never met. The 10 years of cruelty disguised as righteousness. Then he told them about Daniel. About the $320,000. About Tyler's $152,000 education. About the man he'd called unworthy, saving 2 members of his family for $472,000 total, while he was too proud to open a Christmas card. I preach that God is love, but I didn't practice it. The man who did, the man who loved my family when I wouldn't, is gone. I'll never thank him. And I'll spend the rest of my life knowing I don't deserve what he gave me. He paused. Voice breaking. Effective today, I'm stepping down as senior pastor. The board has offered me a position in pastoral counseling. No pulpit, no leadership, just service. One person at a time. It's more than I deserve, but it's where I need to be. When it ended, Sophie asked, "Is that our grandpa?" "Yes." "Is he sorry?" "Yes." "Will you forgive him?" I didn't answer. I didn't know yet. January through February 2023, my parents and I exchanged emails. Not phone calls. Emails. I set terms. February 15th. My conditions. If you want to meet me and meet your grandchildren, here are my terms. 1. We meet halfway. Neutral location. Not your home, not mine. Salt Lake City, Utah. 10-hour drive for me from Oakland, 13-hour drive for you from Nashville. Not exactly halfway, but close enough. I'm choosing the location. You'll make the drive. 2. You acknowledge, publicly and privately, what Daniel did. 3. You understand that meeting Sophie and Noah is a privilege, not a right. 4. You respect my boundaries. If I say we're done, we're done. 5. You accept that forgiveness is not the same as forgetting. I may never forget. Do you agree? My father's response came the same day. Yes, to all of it. We'll drive the 13 hours. We'll drive 100 if that's what it takes. Thank you for this chance. Dad. March 15th, 2023. The Copper Onion Restaurant, Salt Lake City. Private back room. I'd never been there before. Neither had they. No history. No church. No house where I'd been told I was dead. Just a table, a conversation, and the question of whether strangers could become family again. My father walked in using a cane. Permanent damage from the 2018 accident. The accident Daniel paid to fix. My mother looked older, grayer, thinner. Sophie and Noah were shy, curious. My father knelt down, difficult with his cane. Sophie, Noah, I'm your grandfather. I'm so sorry I haven't been here. Sophie was direct. Why weren't you? My father looked at me. I didn't help him. Because I made a terrible mistake. I let fear and pride keep me from loving your mother. And I missed you. I missed everything. Noah asked quietly, Did you miss our dad too? Silence. Heavy. Long. My father's voice broke. Yes. And I'll regret that for the rest of my life. Your father was a better man than I am. He drove from Oakland to here, 10 hours, to give your mom this chance. I drove 13 hours to ask for it. And he's the one who deserved the thanks, not me. The meal lasted 2 hours. We talked. Carefully, like people walking on broken glass in the dark. When it was over, my father asked, Can we see you again? I looked at Sophie and Noah. They looked at me. Maybe. We'll see. It wasn't yes, but it wasn't no either. And for a first step after 10 years of running, maybe that was enough. Before we left, my father asked if they could visit Daniel's grave. I said no. Not yet. Maybe never. He asked to know more about him. I showed photos on my phone. Wedding day, Sophie's birth, Noah's birth. The final family photo from June 2022. He had a kind face. He had a kind heart, which is more than most people have. My mother spoke. Will you tell us about him? Please? I looked at them. These people who'd missed everything. He was a carpenter. He taught woodworking to kids who couldn't afford camps. He worked 2 jobs so our kids could go to college debt-free. He loved Oakland. He loved our family. And when he was dying, he forgave you. I don't know how, but he did. I don't deserve. No, you don't. But he gave it anyway. That's who he was. On the drive home, Sophie asked from the back seat, Mom, do you forgive them? I don't know, honey. But Dad forgave them. Your dad was better at forgiveness than I am. Noah, will they come to our house? Maybe someday. Not yet. Sophie thought about this. I think Dad would want you to let them come. Why do you think that? Because Dad said family is about showing up. And they're trying to show up now. Right? Out of the mouths of 9-year-olds? She was right. They were showing up. Late. Grief-stricken. Broken. But showing up. And I had to decide if late was better than never, or if never was the boundary I needed. April 2023. I agreed to supervised visits, once every 2 months, always with me present, neutral locations or Daniel's parents' house in Sacramento. My parameters: no unsupervised time with kids, no pushing religion on Sophie and Noah, no rewriting history. We were wrong, not, we didn't understand. No erasure of Daniel. They acknowledge him in every visit. I can end any visit if boundaries are crossed. They agreed to everything. By summer 2023, they'd met Sophie and Noah 4 times. By Christmas 2023, 6 times. It wasn't a family reunion. It was something quieter, more fragile, but maybe fragile things, handled carefully, could heal. March 2026, 3 years after that first meeting in Salt Lake City. I'm 32 years old now, the age Daniel was when we married. Sophie is 12. Noah is 9. They know their grandparents. Not well. Not closely, but they know them. My parents have made 18 supervised visits in 3 years, every 2 to 3 months. Some at Salt Lake City, some at Daniel's parents' house in Sacramento. Never at my house in Oakland. Never at their place in Nashville. Holidays are still separate. Christmas with Daniel's family, Thanksgiving with Daniel's family, Sophie and Noah's birthdays with Daniel's family, and sometimes, a card in the mail from Nashville. Communication happens through emails and occasional calls. Not spontaneous, not easy, careful. Sophie understands the history now. At 12, she's old enough to know why things are the way they are. She's cautiously warm to them. Noah is friendlier. He doesn't remember the pain. He just knows these are Grandma and Grandpa from far away who visit sometimes. My father is no longer senior pastor of a megachurch. He works part-time in pastoral counseling at a smaller church office, sees 8 to 10 people a week for one-on-one sessions. No public speaking, no leadership, no pulpit. His salary is a fifth of what it was. They sold their large house, moved to a modest apartment. My mother works part-time at the library now, her first job in 30 years. Sophie asked me in February, "Mom, do you think you'll ever feel normal with them?" "I don't know, honey. What's normal?" "Like how we are with Grandma Janet and Grandpa Michael." "Maybe not. Maybe we'll have our own kind of normal. A careful one." "That's sad." "Yeah. But it's honest. And sometimes honest is better than pretending." I keep all 10 return packages in my closet, unopened. I've never opened them even after they came back. I'll give them to Sophie and Noah when they're older. Evidence of persistence, evidence of love, evidence of rejection. One day they'll open those boxes, they'll see what their grandparents refused to see for a decade, and they'll understand the cost of pride. I take Sophie and Noah to Daniel's grave monthly, Mountain View Cemetery in the Oakland Hills. His headstone reads, Daniel Reeves, 1986 to 2022. Beloved husband, father, builder of bridges. I bring fresh flowers. Sophie and Noah bring drawings, photos, letters they write to Daddy. Twice in 3 years I've invited my parents to come. They've come twice. March 2024, November 2025. Both times my father knelt at Daniel's grave and cried, November 2025. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. You saved my life and I never said thank you. You loved my daughter when I didn't. You were the man I should have been." I watched. "He can't hear you." "I know, but I need to say it anyway." "Then say it again. And again. Until you believe you mean it." My children visit their father's grave and know he was a hero. My parents visit and know he was the man they should have listened to. I visit and know I'm still his wife. Even in death. Especially in death. He won. People ask me if I've forgiven my parents. The truth? Some days yes, some days no. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a process. And I'm still in it. What I do know, my children have grandparents now. Imperfect, late-arriving, guilt-ridden grandparents, but present. And I know Daniel would be proud of me, not for forgiving them, for staying true to myself while giving them a chance. That's the difference. He forgave because it freed him. I'm forgiving because it's freeing me, slowly, on my terms. I tell my children about their father, not the man my parents called unworthy, the man who worked 2 jobs to save people who hated him. The man who died believing family wasn't about blood. It was about showing up. My parents are learning that now. Slowly. But Daniel? He always knew. Have you been the person who kept showing up even when no one answered? Have you been the stranger in your own family? Tell me in the comments, because Daniel's story isn't just mine. It's for anyone who's ever loved people who couldn't see them, who couldn't see their worth, who learned too late what they'd thrown away. And if you're that person, the one still sending the gifts, still making the calls, still hoping. I need you to hear this. Your worth isn't determined by their response. It never was. Daniel knew that. I'm still learning it. But I'm getting there. One careful, boundaried, honest step at a time.